know far more than you realize. The problem is not a lack of knowledge. The problem is that you've never been taught how to recognize the signs. Every person leaves clues. Every habit, every reaction, every choice reveals something beneath the surface. And Nietzsche's 18 Truths will teach you how to notice those clues, and more importantly, understand what they truly reveal. This is a skill no school teaches. Yet once you develop it, you can never look at people the same way again. You'll begin seeing patterns where others see coincidence, motives where others see random behavior, and truths hidden behind ordinary conversations. But this is not another quick list or a collection of shallow life hacks. This video is divided into 3 connected parts, and each one builds on the foundation of the last. Skip ahead or miss a section, and you'll miss the deeper meaning that makes these ideas so powerful. So stay until the end, because by the time all 3 parts are complete, you won't just understand the people around you, you'll understand yourself in ways you never imagined. From the moment you are young, you are taught to trust what people say. Words become the foundation of how you judge character, intention, and truth. But Nietzsche warned against placing too much faith in language. People rarely speak from pure honesty. More often, they speak from fear, from ego, from habit, or from the instinct to protect themselves. What you hear is not always who they are. It is often who they have learned to become. The personality someone presents to the world is usually a form of armor. The person who appears endlessly kind may not be driven by kindness at all. They may simply fear rejection. The one who projects confidence and strength may be carrying a quiet insecurity, hoping no one notices the cracks beneath the surface. The most fascinating part is that many people never realize they are doing it. They spend years performing a role that was shaped by survival rather than choice. Their smile, their opinions, even the way they speak are often reflections of what once kept them accepted, protected, or safe. That is why most people are not hiding from you. They are hiding from themselves. Nietzsche once wrote, "Every profound spirit needs a mask." He did not say this to accuse humanity of being fake. He said it to remind us of something far more important. Never mistake the mask for the person wearing it. Here is what most people never realize. People reveal the truth constantly, not through their words, but through the small cracks they fail to notice, the glance they avoid, the laugh that lasts a little too long, the sudden change of topic, the moment the conversation becomes uncomfortable. This leads to Nietzsche's first psychological truth. Everyone wears a mask, not because they are naturally dishonest, but because they are afraid. To survive within society, people slowly construct a version of themselves they believe will be accepted. But no mask is flawless. Eventually, it slips. And the first place to look is tension. Pay attention to what makes someone uncomfortable. That is often where the performance ends and the real person begins. The second truth is this: what people constantly criticize in others often reveals what they refuse to face within themselves. Nietzsche understood projection long before most people recognized it. The person obsessed with exposing arrogance may secretly struggle with feelings of inadequacy. The one who constantly points out dishonesty may be avoiding a truth in their own life. We often condemn in others the very qualities we fear discovering in ourselves. So if you truly want to understand someone, do not only notice what they admire, watch what repeatedly irritates them. Their strongest judgments often point toward their deepest insecurities. The third truth is that silence speaks louder than language. Nietzsche believed words often conceal reality rather than reveal it. People use language to protect themselves just as much as they use it to communicate. Notice the hesitation before an answer. Notice the carefully rehearsed response to a difficult question. Notice which subjects someone always avoids. Silence is rarely empty. Very often, it reveals exactly what a person is afraid to confront. The fourth truth is that excessive virtue can sometimes hide vanity. A cautious of the person who constantly advertises their morality, the one who is always correcting others, always preaching, always reminding everyone how principled they are. Nietzsche saw this as another expression of the will to power. Sometimes virtue becomes less about goodness and more about superiority. The louder someone demands recognition for their morality, the more carefully you should ask what they might be trying to hide. True character rarely needs an audience. The fifth truth is perhaps the most unsettling. People usually lie to themselves before they ever lie to you. I'm fine. It doesn't bother me. I've moved on. Many of these statements are not deliberate attempts to deceive others. They are stories repeated so many times that the speaker has begun believing them as well. Nietzsche saw self-deception as a survival mechanism. It allows people to keep moving through painful realities they are not yet ready to face. That is why inconsistencies matter. When someone's actions repeatedly contradict their words, those contradictions often reveal more truth than anything they consciously say. The sixth truth is that feelings of superiority often conceal feelings of inferiority. Nietzsche believed that the loudest displays of status are frequently attempts to compensate for hidden insecurity. The person who constantly reminds everyone of their achievements may secretly fear they are not enough. The one who casually belittles others may be terrified of being overlooked. Real confidence has nothing to prove. It does not demand attention. It does not compete for validation. So whenever someone seems obsessed with controlling, dominating, or proving themselves, look beyond the surface, because behind the throne, you will often find a frightened child wearing a crown. Reading people is not about judging them. It is about understanding them. When someone constantly interrupts, it is not always arrogance. Sometimes it is the fear of being forgotten. When someone fills their life with endless posts about happiness, it may be an attempt to convince themselves as much as everyone else. And when someone says, "I'm fine," while avoiding eye contact, learn to trust the body more than the words. Use these truths wisely, not to manipulate people, but to understand them. Because the more clearly you see what someone is carrying, the harder it becomes to hate them. That was Nietzsche's real lesson. He did not want you to see through people, so you could control them. He wanted you to stop being deceived by appearances and start recognizing the human being behind the performance. If you've ever looked at someone and felt there was something deeper hidden beneath the surface, leave a comment below. Share a moment when someone revealed the truth without ever saying it out loud. And if this video has changed the way you see people, subscribe. We are only getting started. And the next truths become even more revealing. Recognizing the mask is only the beginning. The real insight comes when you learn to notice the moment it slips. You've probably witnessed it before. A brief flash of discomfort when someone's beliefs are challenged. A sudden shift in their tone when the conversation becomes too personal. A nervous laugh that doesn't match the situation. Those moments are not accidents. They are clues. Once you know what to look for, you begin to realize that people are not impossible to understand. They are simply afraid of being truly seen. In the first part, we explored how people build identities to protect themselves. Now we move one step deeper, into the moments when those identities begin to crack. Nietzsche believed the self is not fixed. It is something people constantly construct, adjust, and defend. The identity most people present is often a role designed to survive the world. And whenever that role is threatened, the truth starts finding its way to the surface. The seventh truth is this: most human behavior is driven by unconscious fear. Think about it. Why does one person constantly over-explain? Why does another dominate every conversation? Why do so many people agree when they desperately want to refuse? Behind those behaviors is usually the same force: fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of failure. fear of humiliation, fear of not being enough. Nietzsche understood that people rarely act from pure desire. More often, they act to protect themselves from losing something they believe they cannot live without. So if you want to understand someone, stop asking what they want. Ask yourself what they are afraid of losing. That is where the truth usually hides. The eighth truth follows naturally. Excessive criticism is often projection. Person who constantly mocks emotional people may be running from their own emotions. The one who endlessly criticizes another person's appearance may be fighting a private battle every time they look into a mirror. Nietzsche believed that judgment usually says more about the person making it than the person receiving it. So whenever someone repeats the same criticism over and over, do not focus only on the target. Pay attention to the speaker. Ask yourself what part of their own identity they are trying to reject. Projection is more than a defense mechanism. It is often an unconscious confession. If you know how to listen, it quietly reveals where someone's deepest wounds are hiding. Confidence is often guilt in costume. There's a type of person you've probably met before. The one who always seems completely confident, always in control, always perfectly composed. But watch them long enough, and you'll notice the tension in their jaw, the way they over-prepare, and how defensive they become the moment they're put under pressure. 9. Confidence often conceals guilt. Nietzsche recognized this pattern in leaders, teachers, and preachers. People who project certainty because they're afraid of being truly seen. When someone appears constantly confident, look beneath the surface. There is often guilt they're trying to hide. Maybe it's a mistake they regret. Maybe it's an older version of themselves they're still trying to outrun. Real peace doesn't need to perform. So when someone seems excessively confident, don't be intimidated. Be curious. 10. Exaggeration uncovers the hidden truth. This idea is subtle, yet incredibly powerful. Once you recognize it, you won't be able to ignore it. People often expose themselves through exaggeration. Someone who constantly says, "I don't care what anyone thinks," probably cares more than they admit. Someone who keeps insisting, "I'm always happy," probably isn't. Exaggeration is a giveaway. It's the ego trying to silence its own uncertainty. Nietzsche believed that extremes in any direction are signs of imbalance, not strength. So when someone's words sound too absolute, don't focus only on what they're saying. Look beneath the statement. Read the insecurity hiding underneath. The simian. Exaggeration is only the volume. The real question is, what are they trying to silence? The need for control often hides inner chaos. We chase it everywhere, in our careers, our relationships, and our daily routines. But some people pursue it to the point of obsession. 11. The desire for control often reveals inner chaos. Nietzsche recognized this pattern clearly. When a person's inner world is in chaos, they often try to control everything around them. If someone micromanages every detail, struggles to accept change, or constantly tries to dominate others to feel powerful, it isn't because they're strong. It's because something inside them feels unstable. So instead of fearing a controlling person, see them for who they really are. Someone who is terrified that the moment they lose control, everything will collapse. The harder the outer shell, the more fragile the person underneath. Is often a performance that hides inner emptiness. This is one of Nietzsche's most unsettling insights, and today, it may be more relevant than ever. 12. The greater the performance, the emptier the core. Look at social media. The endless, look at me, energy. The perfect photos, the constant updates, the carefully crafted identity. Nietzsche didn't see this as confidence. He saw it as desperation. When someone is constantly performing, it's often because they don't believe they'll be loved or noticed without it. So they create noise, drama, and spectacle. But someone who truly knows themselves doesn't need an audience. They're already complete. So when someone's entire life feels like a performance, remember this: it isn't a display of power, It's a quiet expression of need. Putting it all together, you're probably beginning to notice the shift. You walk into a room, and suddenly the patterns speak louder than the words. You watch someone interrupt every conversation and realize they're terrified of being forgotten. You hear someone constantly boasting and begin to sense the invisible wound beneath it. You're not reading minds, you're reading the mask, and Nietzsche gave you the light to see it. This isn't just a skill, it's a responsibility. Because once you learn to see people clearly, you can't unsee it. You'll begin to realize that most people are quietly suffering behind carefully polished smiles. Reading people isn't about gaining leverage, it's about offering compassion. When you see the child behind the critic, the fear behind the bully, and the guilt behind the arrogance, you don't become weaker, you become unshakable. Want more? If this part of the video changed the way you see people, wait until the final part. In part 3, we'll strip away the final layer and explore how childhood wounds continue shaping adult personalities. You'll discover how envy, silence, and the need to be remembered reveal the deepest parts of a person's soul. You'll learn the final 6 truths that allow you to understand people with remarkable clarity. But more importantly, you'll begin to understand yourself. By now, something inside you has shifted. You don't just see people anymore. You read them, not as villains, not as victims, but as human beings trying to survive behind masks they never consciously chose. But we're not finished yet, because behind every behavior is a belief, and behind every belief is a wound. This final part is about learning to recognize the soul, the deeper story hidden beneath the surface of everyone you meet. Nietzsche didn't simply expose people's patterns, he revealed where those patterns begin. Let's finish what we started. 13. People don't speak from logic. They speak from pain. You may believe that people are rational, that they argue with facts and make decisions through logic, but Nietzsche saw it differently. He believed that beneath every logical argument lies an emotional wound. Someone might say, "I don't believe in love, it's just a fantasy." But if you listen carefully, they're not stating a fact. They're protecting a scar. People build their beliefs around what has hurt them, then use logic to defend those beliefs. So if you want to understand someone's worldview, don't just ask what they believe. Ask what wounded them. Ask what frightened them. Ask what they never want to experience again. Everything changes when you do that. Your focus shifts from, "Why are they saying this?" to, "What are they trying so hard not to relive?" Suddenly, their opinions don't feel like threats. Their arguments aren't attacks. They're shields. 14. How someone responds to weakness reveals their strength. If you really want to understand someone's character, don't watch how they treat people with power. Watch how they treat someone who has no power at all. Nietzsche believed that true strength isn't revealed through domination, it's revealed through restraint. If someone mocks vulnerability, they may be running from their own. If someone punishes every mistake, it's likely because they were never allowed to make one. If someone always has to win, even if it leaves others wounded, they're probably still fighting a battle within themselves. But the person who can face weakness without judgment, who can sit with another person's sadness without needing to escape, who can forgive when they have every reason to punish, that person is no longer controlled by the past. They have nothing left to prove because they've already won the battle inside themselves. So if you want to understand someone, give them a moment where compassion is a choice. What they do in that moment will reveal who they truly are, not just who they pretend to be. 15. The fear of being forgotten creates the need for attention. Have you ever met someone who always needs to be noticed? Every room they enter, every story they tell, every outfit they wear seems to say, "Look at me." At first, it appears to be confidence. But Nietzsche saw something deeper. He believed that the craving for attention often comes from the fear of being forgotten, of becoming invisible, of living and disappearing without leaving a mark. So people create noise, not because they enjoy it, but because they can't tolerate silence. The child who grew up unnoticed often becomes the adult who overcompensates. Instead of asking for love directly, they search for it through performance, drama, or chaos. So when you meet someone who always seems like too much, don't rush to judge them. Ask yourself what they're afraid would happen if no one noticed them. Because sometimes attention isn't vanity, it's a cry for help. 16. The people we attack are often the ones we envy. One of Nietzsche's boldest observations, and perhaps the hardest to accept, is this: people don't always attack because they hate. Many times, they attack because they admire something they believe they can never become. Criticism is easier than admiration. The person who constantly tears down someone successful, mocks someone confident, or gossips about someone who lives freely isn't always acting out of cruelty. Often, they're acting out of pain. Because watching someone live the life you've abandoned forces you to confront what you've lost. So instead of celebrating them, you try to destroy them. But envy is simply unspoken desire. It's the soul quietly saying, "I want that too, but I don't believe I deserve it." When you recognize this in other people, their petty attacks lose their power. And when you recognize it in yourself, you finally become free. 17. Childhood shapes more than beliefs. You've probably heard people say, "People never change." But Nietzsche would have argued something different. People don't simply change, they repeat. They repeat the roles they were forced into, the fears they grew up with, and the patterns they never managed to escape. A person who was never truly heard often becomes someone who never listens. A person who was punished for showing emotion grows into someone who appears cold, logical, and emotionally distant. A person who had to earn love as a child becomes an adult who performs for affection, even when that affection is unhealthy. They believe they're acting according to their beliefs, when in reality they're replaying their past. So if you want to understand someone, don't only ask who they are, ask who they had to become. Because behavior is simply biography, and behind every adult is a child who is still waiting to feel safe. 18. Patterns reveal the truth people can't say. This is the final truth, and it changes the way you see everyone around you. People don't always know how to express what hurts them, but they reveal it over and over again through their patterns. A person who disappears whenever relationships become serious. A person who buries themselves in work to escape stillness. A person who flirts with everyone, but never forms a genuine connection. These aren't random habits. They're confessions. They're saying, "This is how I protect myself." They're saying, "This is where I was wounded." They're saying, "This is what I'm afraid of experiencing again." Nietzsche believed that if you learn to listen deeply, not to words, but to patterns, you'll begin hearing the truth before it's ever spoken. And once that happens, something remarkable changes. You stop taking everything personally. You stop judging. You begin understanding. You become a mirror instead of a weapon. You become someone who sees the truth and still chooses compassion. And more than any technique or strategy, that's what makes you truly powerful. You're no longer just reading other people. You're rediscovering yourself. Now take a moment and reflect. Every truth we've explored wasn't only about the people around you. It was also about you, your patterns, your fears, and the stories your childhood quietly wrote. Because the more clearly you understand others, the more clearly you begin to understand yourself. This isn't the end of the journey. It's the beginning of seeing the world in a completely different way. Nietzsche didn't just want us to observe. He wanted us to awaken, to realize that everything we judge in others often exists somewhere within us, and everything we admire points toward the person we hope to become. So if this video made you feel understood, if you recognize these patterns in someone else, or even in yourself, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a comment below and tell me which of these 18 truths affected you the most. Let's create something honest together in a world where so many people hide behind masks. And if this message resonated with you, subscribe. This is only the beginning of learning to see what most people miss and becoming the person you were meant to be.